Turnovers hurt the Broncos in this one as their comeback attempt fell short against the New York Jets. The Broncos postgame show starts right now. Hello, and thank you for joining us here in studio. I am Phil Milani alongside Nick Ferguson. The Broncos fall 31-21 against the Jets at home. Nick, your initial thoughts on the game?
Well, initially, it was a rough outing for the Broncos. It looked like they were off to a fast start, but then things sputtered out in that third quarter. Then here we go again. Zach Wilson made a couple of throws, some big explosive runs by Breece Hall. Now the Broncos were behind the chains. They always have an opportunity to fight back. They did just that, but they ran out of time, falls short to the New York Jets.
Yeah, a tough outing there offensively and defensively. We'll break it all down coming up here, but first let's show you the highlights. The Broncos looking sharp in their snow-capped helmets. Opening drive, 3rd and 8. Russell Wilson makes it happen with his legs. He did that all day long facing that Jets front seven. A few plays later, rookie sensation Jaleel McLaughlin bobbles it and then takes it to the house. His mom's in the crowd. He had to do it. Broncos have now scored an opening drive touchdown in 4 of 5 games. They went into the locker room up 13-8. Jets' first play in the third quarter, though, Breece Hall takes it 72 yards. He tore his ACL in Denver last year as a rookie, but he puts New York up 2. The Jets would add 3 field goals to go up 24-13, but then Russ goes to work. Jerry Jeudy snags that for Denver's first down in the second half. A few plays later, Adam Trautman wide open, 3-yard score on the top red zone defense in the NFL. Michael Burton adds a 2-point conversion to make it a 3-point game. Zach Wilson and the Jets looking to ice it, but he tests PS2. Not a good idea. His first pick of the season. Then Russ trying to make something happen, looking to avoid the pressure, but loses the ball, and Breece Hall is right there to put the nail in the coffin. The Broncos fall 31-21. Let's go out to Empower Field at Mile High and check in with Sidney Jones and Eric Delahunt.
Thanks, Phil. Not the outcome we had hoped for here at Empower Field at Mile High today as the Broncos fell 1-4 to start the season here, Eric. You know, both the offense and the defense, they had a productive first half, but things seemed to change in the second half. What did you see in that regard?
Yeah, offensively, obviously a tough third quarter there. I think 4 total yards. Gotten too many 3rd and longs, I think, was a big part of it. Sean Payton mentioned after the game became too one-dimensional. The Broncos able to put a little pressure on late, but yeah, they've got to find a way to be better in the third quarter. That was key, the penalties there. And then defensively, Sean Payton described it as kind of a tale of 2 halves, essentially. The defense stopped the run really well, held the Jets in check in the first half, and then in the second half, it just looked like a completely different deal. Broncos' run defense has now given up a lot of yards. They had one of the lower-ranked run defenses in the league coming into this week, and certainly didn't get better today. So, yeah, definitely first half, there were encouraging signs, but even then, it didn't capitalize in the red zone. We're unable to take advantage of some of those opportunities. So both halves, there were things to clean up. Yeah,
like you said, a lot of encouraging signs. But, Eric, when you have 3 turnovers from this offense, I mean, you're not going to win a game in that way.
Yeah, I mean, the turnover margin, we've seen the Broncos when they've won it. You know, a week ago in Chicago, they come out on top. This week, you fall behind, you give a couple away, you know, and then you have the safety. There were just too many plays that the Broncos gave away, and in this league, it's hard to win when you do that. And the Broncos, too, you know, you get that interception late in the game, and you're not able to take advantage, obviously. You get the muff punt, not able to take advantage because of another turnover.
Right.
It works on both sides of the football, but unfortunately, again, the Broncos lose the turnover battle, and it's a big reason why they lose the game.
Yeah, well, luckily for this team, they have a Thursday night game coming up, so they'll be able to turn the page sooner than later. Eric, we'll head inside the locker room a little bit later to hear from some of the players, but until then, Phil will send it back to you.
Thank you very much, guys. We're back here at the desk. I am Phil Milani alongside Nick Ferguson. Nick, it seemed like the Broncos, once again, the opening drive touchdown, things starting out well, but then the rest of the way, it was pretty tough for them.
Yeah, it was pretty tough for the Broncos. Things just kind of sputtered in the second half. And the one thing I would say, Phil, that I expected more, even though knowing as though the defense for the New York Jets was really stout, and I knew they were going to come in and pressure Russell, I felt as though this receiving core was better than the Jets. That group never really got involved. I don't think Courtland Sutton received his first reception until sometime late in the fourth quarter. So it was really tough slating for the offense to find their footing. But in the fourth quarter, when they needed to find a way to come back, they made some plays. Russell was special, but once again, it didn't have enough juice at the end to push the boulder over the hill, and the Broncos lose another home game.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns for Russell Wilson in this one, but just 196 yards passing, 20 of 31. 4 sacks, Nick. They were pressuring him all day long, and he was scrambling, trying to make things happen with his legs. But it felt like in the third quarter in particular, Nick, just 11 plays for this Broncos offense, minus 16 yards, 3 3-and-outs. What's happening at halftime, Nick?
Well, I don't know what's happening at halftime, but when you watch the offense, I mean, the rhythm, once again, wasn't there, and Russell was staring, looking, trying to find someone down the field, and was just holding on the ball too long. For me, the first thing that stands out to me in those type of situations, Phil, is the fact that maybe the routes were too deep developing. Against a team that likes to shift and move their defensive interior guys around and bring second-level linebacker pressure, you got to go with the short routes, the shallow routes, the quick out routes. We really didn't see any of that, and that's the thing that made it really difficult for this offense in the third quarter.
The other thing that hurt this team, the turnovers of Marvin Mims had 2 fumbles in this game, and then Russell Wilson's fumble there to seal the deal at the end of the game. The Broncos know that you can't kill yourself.
No, you can't. When you're playing against an opponent like the New York Jets, their back is against the wall, just like the Broncos, trying to get a win, trying to do anything to try to get a win. You can't shoot yourself in the foot, and you're right. You talk about the Marvin Mims punt when he dropped it on the ground. And then, I'm not going to blame this one on Mims. Samaje Perine was trying to flip the ball, toss, or however you want to call it.
I like a toss.
Okay, a toss, and the toss went way over, Mims' head, and once again, you set the Jets up on a short field.
Yeah, we'll talk about the defense in just a second here, but here's what Broncos head coach Sean Payton had to say after the game.
When you look at the fumbled exchange on the reverse, the fumble late in the game, the fumbled punt, it's hard to win games like that. But the concern defensively, obviously, was the second half in the way they ran the ball compared to the first half.
So that's Broncos head coach Sean Payton. Let's talk about the other side of the ball here for this Broncos defense. Zach Wilson, you knew that they were going to try to maybe help him out with the running game, and they had a lot of success, 234 yards on the ground.
Yes, they did. And before I get to that part of it, let me talk about what I saw from a pro standpoint with this defense. They were doing a great job, and tackling seemed to improve in that first half. Now, let's fast forward just a little, and we watch Breece Hall do the same thing, opposite end zone, 72 yards, to help uplift that Jets offense and take the pressure off of Zach Wilson. Coming into the game, one of the keys to the game was taking away the run game, forcing Zach Wilson to beat you with his arm, and the Broncos were not successful with that. Breece Hall, once again, that 72-yard run seemed to be a dagger for the Broncos at that particular time. But another pro, Nick Bonitto. What can I say about this kid? He had 2 quarterback sacks, 2 tackles for losses, and 2 quarterback hits. Once again, you get the coverage and the rush tied together. That could be a dynamic duo between he and Jonathan Cooper. Yeah,
definitely some positives there where you're seeing some signs of growth. But people are going to see, 31 points by the Jets, but that's not necessarily the case. There were some short fields. Russ got a safety, and then also the fumble there returned for a touchdown. All that being said, the Broncos were in position to try and tie the game, maybe win the game. I know, Nick, I certainly felt like it was going to happen.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely going to happen after PS2 got that interception. I was like, now the momentum is back in the Broncos' back seat, and they're going to move the ball down the field, but it didn't work out that way. That turnover from Russell, great play by the defensive player to knock that ball out of Russell's hands. And we've seen Russ make those types of plays. He made those types of plays in the game today. So there are going to be people who are going to criticize Russ, throw the ball away, he should have done this. But this is what we've seen and come to know Russ to do. So I'm not going to criticize him from doing something that I know he's done in this game and in his history to be successful.
Here's what the Broncos starting quarterback had to say afterward.
A lot of good things today. and some not so good. I think that we can play cleaner across the board. And so, we got to clean those things up, get ready to go on a Thursday night game on the road against a division opponent and go get it. And, that's got to be our mentality. That's got to be our focus right now.
That's Russell Wilson at the podium. The Broncos, maybe it's a good thing to get back out on the field right away, but the not so good thing is that it's the Chiefs on Thursday night.
Yeah, short week. You have to go to Arrowhead, and at this particular point, there's no need to cry over spilled milk. You are where you are and what your record indicates. And right now, every guy has to take a look in the mirror and ask themselves, how can they get better? And, you said the right thing, Phil. It is a short week. So you're going to watch this film, you're going to move past it, and you're going to have another opportunity to play a big game against Kansas City, a team that the Broncos played tough last season. Can they duplicate that opportunity? Can they duplicate that same level of production? Can they go to Arrowhead, not make any mistakes on both sides of the ball, play a perfect game, and finally get a win against Kansas City? I'm hoping so.
Yeah, it might be a good thing to just try and wash this taste out of their mouth. Let's go inside the locker room and check in with team reporter Sydney Jones.
Thanks, Phil. We're here inside the locker room with safety Justin Simmons. Justin, obviously not the start you guys had hoped for, going 1-4. As a leader on this team, just what do you tell the other guys in this locker room?
This one hurts, and it's a little different because, you kind of got to forget about this one quickly and, get ready for Thursday night, with Kansas City. And so, this is a tough one, but we're going to come back tomorrow, watch the film on some of the things we need to make sure we fix in order to, go get and steal a win on Thursday against Kansas City.
You mentioned the quick turnaround. Is there any advantage to that, needing to turn the page fast here?
Yeah, no, there's advantages, and I think, I think the biggest thing is anytime you lose, you just can't wait till next week, to get the next game, and obviously ultimately hope to win that. And so the advantages there are, we get a chance for a quick turnaround. Like I said, go to KC and get a win. I know we were kind of banged up, and you just got to rally the troops and just find a way to go win that game.
The defense got off to a productive start. What do you think kind of changed for this team in really the second half, I guess?
Yeah, I thought we did okay. I think way too many rushing yards, but we knew coming into it that Hall and Cook are a really good duo. They do a really good job running the ball and not turning the ball over. And obviously those were goals for us. I know Pat stole one there at the end, and we had a chance to win it. So it's tough, but I think we can be way better and do way better, and it just wasn't good enough to win.
You mentioned stopping the run. What can you kind of fix or focus on this week to, continue to improve in that area?
Yeah, well, that's what you can come back tomorrow. You got to watch this tape. Even though it's a quick turnaround, you want to get to KC as fast as you can. But KC's going to watch this tape and find the holes and things that worked for New York in terms of the run game, and probably do that. Pacheco's a heck of a back. Obviously, we know what Mahomes can do, and so. We kind of got to put out that fire with, certain runs that we're seeing in the run game.
Justin, appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Phil, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you very much, Sydney. Time to wrap up the postgame show here. The Broncos lose 31-21. This was a game the Broncos had several chances to win, stopped in the red zone a couple of times, had to settle for field goals. Granted, the Jets defense really good down there, but I just look at the turnovers here and the safety, and does it feel like, Nick, that maybe this team, they're good enough if they just don't beat themselves?
Absolutely. This team has proven that, one, they can stop people when they want to. Then also, they can put points on the board. Just think about the games that the Broncos have been in when they've been trailing after having a lead before halftime. That shows me a lot of resilience, and the fact if you can clean up some things on the defensive side of the ball, don't give up explosive runs. They did a great job of not giving up any explosive passes today, but you don't give up that explosive run, 72 yards to Breece Hall. Now that changes everything, but also turnovers. This game is tough enough. You can't give the ball away to your opponent. So there are some positives, and I know the coaching staff is going to try to preach that this week to kind of give those guys that confidence. But if they go in and not make any mistakes, which is always tough to play a perfect game, maybe they can finally beat Kansas City at Arrowhead.
Broncos fall to 1-4 on the season here after a 31-21 loss to the New York Jets. That's going to do it for us. For Nick Ferguson, I am Phil Milani. You've been watching the Broncos Postgame Show.